humans are social creatures wired for empathy, compassion, love, and curiosity towards each other and our world. As children, we hardly had any problems connecting with our surroundings, whether that be nature, animals, art, a kid's TV show, or people. We tackled the world with open eyes and a relentless, curious attitude, observing everything that happened around us. Engaging deep eye contact with a random stranger on a bus, simply because we found them interesting or their energy drawn our attention. Tracking the highway of ants as they carried their rations back to their colony. Studying how mom flew around the kitchen to later imitate her craft with our plastic knives and plates. Yet, as an adult, this world seems quite different. We would be living our days filled with social anxiety, feeling alone, or even believing we are some kind of weird alien that is different from the world that we see through our window. We would feel misunderstood, or even worse, unnoticed. With these feelings, we find ourselves surrounded by countless people, at school, on the metro on the way to work, on our upcoming social event, or even in our own home. We live, starved out for a meaningful and deep social connection, a crave to be understood, to be showed empathy for, and cared for. The ironic humor of this reality is, while we feel alienated from society, the ones surrounding us would feel quite similar or exactly the same way as we do. Our worlds would flow so far away from one another that a step to reconnect and initiate feels out of reach. What changed, we could ask? When did life become so different from how that curious and loving child lived their days? The days where connecting to our surroundings came with ease. We live in a modern and fast-paced world, living with the phrase, time is money. We are trying to be so careful about what we spend our time on, making sure it is spent valuably. But what exactly is of true value for us, personally? This is a question we don't think to ask ourselves. Thus, not truly knowing what we value, we would accept what's falsely presented to us. To believe that value is that expensive car we've seen on a TV ad, the perfected beauty of a celebrity that we've read in a magazine, or that fancy sounding offer of a luxurious cruise tour we can't quite treat ourselves with. We would end up spending time working hard to earn money to afford all these things we believe are of value. This is the step to the lonely and isolated feeling, alienation. As children, we had no problem or attention for a salary. We had people care for us so we could focus more and follow on this naturally occurring sensation we call gut feeling. But what could we do to take a step on the path of reconnection towards nature and our fellow individuals who are feeling just as lost and desperate for a meaningful connection as we are? At the time of this idea, we have a globally immersed situation that puts many of us into a forced holiday. Isolated to study and work from the comfort of our home. These times could feel lonely, even more so than usual. For some, it could feel like the world had hit the pause button on their daily routines. We would end up with more time on our hands than we're used to, and the ways to use this time, at first, could appear frustratingly limited. People fear for themselves and their loved ones, and panic would be in play as a blindfold towards the world around us. If we were able to see through past the panic, could come to the understanding that this situation gives us the opportunity to slow down, reflect on ourselves, and take a step to reconnect with the surrounding world. It might be the moment to write those letters to our friends, relatives, and loved ones which we always find an excuse for in a busy schedule to delay. The time to simply show some genuine care, compassion, and empathy, to get into a conversation where we might even realize that we're not so alone or different after all. We could take our forced time off work to spend it with our children, who normally we would only see for a few hours in the morning and afternoon, in the forms of a playful family baking, binge streaming our favorite series, or if we are able to, having a walk in nature nearby us away from the crowded cities. Since we have come to the understanding that taking time to feed our mind and soul is very much important to rid ourselves of the suffocating and drowning feeling of isolation, where a simple eye contact, a smile, a hello, or a short conversation could make us and our surrounding people feel a bit less alone and outcast, the question arises, would it be possible for us to carry on these new thoughts and habits and make space for them in our daily routines once our life gets back to its usual flow? An idea that's truly worth our time.